What you see on your screen is a screenshot of the title of the article that I'm about to read from, and it says Supreme Court gives Native Americans jurisdiction over eastern half of Oklahoma. Basically, another reparations package for Native Americans, or so-called Native Americans, and I'm going to get into why I say so-called, especially in this day and age. But you know what's so crazy? When I saw that, I said, wow. They're still getting reparations, as we can see. But when black people say that they want reparations for the atrocities that their ancestors faced, well, our ancestors faced, we get so much pushback. As a matter of fact, when I was reading through some of the comments, because while it does say USA Today, it came through on my Yahoo News app. And you know how that Yahoo News comment gets. When I was looking through the comment section for this, many of them said, well, if America promised them something, then they need to give them what's owed to them. These are just some of the comments that I came across. I was like, oh, really? Because when there were articles written up months ago about how black people deserve reparations and how much they were supposed to be getting, it didn't sound anything quite like that. It was more to the tone of, well, we aren't slave masters or slave owners. You aren't slaves. There needs to be a study to be done. There needs to be, make sure that that this is how much you're going to get. Basically, all types of negative things to say and reasons as to why they believe we should not get reparations. And the reason why I said so-called Native Americans is because how much you want to bet that those blue-eyed, blonde-haired, $5 Indians are going to slither their way in to try to get some of that land. It's not like they haven't done this or pulled this act before. Now, you point out to me a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, true Native American that was around back then. Because I've seen some Native Americans before, and they don't look anything like that. All they had to do was sign their names on the doll's roll, pay $5, and boom. Now they are Native American. And see, the reason why there's so much pushback with black people to get reparations is because they can't find a way to slither their way into getting that. And I'm talking about on the front end. They don't want anything on the back end, meaning money they'll probably get on the receiving end after we've already received our funds. They want they're trying to get their cut up front even before us, and it's supposed to be for us. Look at what they did with affirmative action. That was supposed to be meant for black people, and who got access to it? And damn near all of it, white women. But they want to claim that they didn't get it, but you know how they love to lie. But anyway, let me go ahead and get into this article. The Supreme Court ruled Thursday that the eastern half of Oklahoma can be considered Native American territory. By the way, when I was reading through the comment section, a part of that territory happens to be Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just thought I should point that out. A decision the state warned could create civil, criminal, and regulatory turmoil. The 5-4 decision was written by Associate Justice Neil Gorsuch and joined by the court's 4 liberal justices. The justices considered the issue for the second time after failing to decide a different case last year, when Gorsuch was recused and the court likely deadlocked. The case concerned an appeal from Jim C. McGirt, a Native American who claimed his state rape conviction from 1997 should be overturned because Oklahoma lacked jurisdiction. Congress, his lawyer, Ian Gershengorn, said never properly terminated the reservation. During oral arguments in May, the justices reached back to 1907 to determine whether Congress, using imprecise language, failed to establish the 1866 boundaries of the reservation. If so, virtually half of Oklahoma, home to 1.8 million residents and including Tulsa, like I said earlier, where 45 recently held a controversial campaign rally amid a global pandemic, will remain subject to federal criminal law. We do not pretend to foretell the future, and we proceed well aware of the potential for cost and conflict around jurisdictional boundaries, especially ones that have gone unappreciated for so long. But it is unclear why pessimism should rule the day. With the passage of time, Oklahoma and its tribes have proven they can work successfully together as partners. The federal government promised the Muskogee Creek Nation a reservation in perpetuity. Gorsuch wrote, adding that while the Congress has diminished the sanctuary over time, lawmakers have never redrawn the promised reservation. As a result, many of the arguments before us today follow a sadly similar pattern. Yes, promises were made, but the price of keeping them has become too great. And so now we just cast a blind eye. We reject that thinking. Isn't it amazing that they have gone out of their way to literally keep giving stuff to a group of people who are actually very, very, very low? And I'm talking about the true Native Americans, a population of people that is extremely low in number. And they're giving them stuff as if they have these great astronomical numbers. And why is that? Probably because they'll be on the receiving end. I'm telling you, all you got to do is follow the paper trail. Those palm colored people in those positions are going to find a way to get their cut. And they know that they don't have to give them much, which is why it's not hard for them to carve certain things out. That's why it's also pushed back when it comes to black people and reparations, because we are owed trillions, and I'm talking about trillions just in currency alone. That's not even including all the other stuff that's owed as well. That's separate. Like ours is broken. Like let me put it this way. The stuff we are owed probably couldn't even fit into a Harry Potter book. That's how much we are owed. Because guess what? They quote unquote promised us stuff too. You know, the whole 40 acres and a mule thing. But you know, America doesn't like to keep its promises. Chief Justice John Roberts, in a dissenting opinion, said that Congress made no attempt to conceal its intention to de-establish reservation land. The court suggests that Congress sought to tiptoe the edge of disestablishment, quite the opposite. Though an open and concerted effort, Congress did what it set out to do, transform a reservation into a state. See what I mean? The state, because see, look at how much they can get off of it being a state. That's why I don't know if y'all heard, but they're trying to turn D.C. into a state. They've been trying to do that for years, and I think something went through to get it to the next level. And if that goes through, D.C., the District of Columbia, will officially become the 51st state of America. I don't know how that's going to go. Let's see. The state solicitors general, Mithun Mansagani, had warned in May that a ruling for Native Americans could require the release of more than 1,700 inmates. That didn't sit well with several justices who feared a chaotic overhaul of long-decided criminal cases. What makes this case hard is that there have been hundreds of prosecutions, some very heinous offenses of the state law. On your view, they would all become undone. Won't residents be surprised to learn that they are living on a reservation and that they are now the subject to laws imposed by a body that is not accountable to them in any way? In last year's case, the U.S. Court of Appeals, let me read that part again. In the last year's case, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit Court ruled the state lacked jurisdiction to prosecute a gruesome murder because it happened within 3 million acres belonging to the Muscogee Creek Nation. The ruling threatened more than 19 million acres in eastern Oklahoma, once inhabited by 5 Native American tribes. And I'm going to pretty much stop right there, because y'all pretty much get the gist of what's going on. They're just giving them more land, but I have a feeling I already know who's going to be running that land, at least in the background, because they said the whole thing is to basically turn it into a state. That's what they're really looking to do. But yeah, it's amazing. They gone out their way. They didn't, it was no pushback, no clapback. They didn't have to do any extracurricular studies. They said, look, we already know who they are. We just gonna give them this land. But when it comes to us, we got to do the study. Our ancestors didn't. Well, I didn't own you. I wasn't a slave master. You weren't a slave. That was so long ago. Get over it. You know, a whole bunch of BS. That's the reason why they don't want to cut the check. But they have money for everything else, especially during this pandemic that we're going through right now. They cut so many checks with that. You know, they're practically just printing out money right now with really nowhere to put it. Like, they're just printing out money and they're just kind of giving it out aimlessly, and it's really not going back into the economy because the economy is decaying. They're trying to get it back up and up, but let's be real here. The economy's, after what happened with this, it's going to take years to recover from this. And I think this is going to be as bad, if not worse, than what happened back in '08, because '08 was more, I guess you could say it was bad, but it was more condensed. This one affected a lot of things. A lot of stuff got affected by it. So right now they're just printing out money. Is almost useless. It almost, in my opinion, doesn't even seem legal, but it is what it is.